welcome to this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Paxton, and we're here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Joining me on the show this week, as ever, everyone's favourite, Paul Whiteside. How's your week been, mate?
If I won't go that far, yeah, I've been all right, mate. Thank you. Yeah, very good weekend. Really, I think the buzz of the Huddesfield game just sort of stayed with me all weekend, and sort of carried on rolling on that dice on Monday, Tuesday. So it's perked me up anyway. But yeah, I'm very good. Thank you, mate. Very good.
Yeah. Also joining us on the show, we got Paul Parkin. Parky, how's your week been?
Pretty standard. Can't remember anything happening really. No, nothing great happened. I don't think since I last spoke to you. Can't remember.
Yeah.
There was one thing, wasn't there?
Oh yeah.
Up the Reds.
The Reds. The win.
We're back. But yeah, like Paul said, that was the big thing this week. That certainly perked everybody up, didn't it? Great performance, and it just makes the week go quicker and better. I think that's the same for everyone. But yeah, great to get a win back on the board.
Yeah, I'm having the win perked me up as well. I'm having car problems still, which is a bit of a nightmare. You go 6 months without no rugby comes, and then you can't get mobile. Paul, it's a bit of a problem.
So Liz, you might have to invest in something there, mate. Invest in a bike or something.
Basically, that's the next plan, Parky. Go and get one of them e-scooters maybe on the M62 next week.
Well, that'd be fun, yeah. On a wet night over to West Yorkshire, I'm sure that'd be fantastic. Away trip to the KC Stadium on that. Best of luck. Yeah. Get your car fixed.
Get me on the pocket and get the car fixed. That's the plan. So loads to go at this week. We're going to look back at the victory against Huddesfield. We've got all the big news coming out of Salford this week, and then we're going to preview the Leeds game, which is now on Sunday. So what we'll start off with the victory against Huddesfield Giants.
You're listening to Devil in the Detail, and this is your big match review.
So Salford Red Devils were victorious against Huddesfield Giants away from home. They won 9-8. Paul, what a fantastic win.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game, mate, to be honest. I mean, I know sometimes people enjoy the high-scoring games and lots of tries, but for me, that game was from minute 1 to 80. It was just edgy stuff. It was brilliant, absolutely fantastic game. Lots of incident, action-packed, where everything went on in it. It was a great game, a great sort of adversity that we were in, and the way the lads showed up there in the second half, it was thrilling. It was wonderful to watch, and when that Uta went at full time, it was just a relief really, and I was nearly crying at the end. It was just amazing, and I just saw Richard Marshall, and I felt so good for him because he's took so much stick over the last few weeks, and the pressure's been on him there, and to see him smile at the end and punch in the air, and to see sort of Ian Watson shuffling off, I thought it was great. I thought we deserved it. We deserved the result, and we played really well on the night. But when they had that drop goal attempt and it sort of hit the post, I was having kittens. Then I just wanted to pick the ball up. It was it was great. It was one of them games you remember for a long time. Though, definitely.
Yeah, great result. Parky, you asked for a commitment to the cause. You asked for effort. Gave it you in spades, didn't they, on Huddesfield?
Couldn't ask for any more, and no fan could. If that result had gone away from us, which it could have done, with 12 men and everything going on around the game, I'd have still been as proud as I am now. He's everything that I've asked for the last few weeks. The actual sort of strength, the mental strength to stay in the game for as long as they could. The work ethic was unbelievable. He just did not stop. The defence was something incredible. So yeah, just so proud of him. So proud. That's what, if we can play like that every week, put that effort in. We're not that team at the second bottom of the league. We're a lot better than that. And it was just fantastic to see the team work together. Like I said, when we went to 12 men, I mean, I instantly thought, well, that's it. That's killed the game now. We can't compete. We struggled a couple of weeks ago against Old KR with 12 men, and that was only for 10 minutes. The opposition scored 2 tries. This time, different, just a different team, different ethic. I'm just so proud of him at the end of the game. Like Paul said, I mean, it was a bit emotional, really, at the end. It was so, it was punching the air stuff. We've done it, we've cracked it, and we've done it with 12 men against a supposedly, a big team. One of the teams is going to finish in the top 4, I think, according to most predictions before the start of the season. So great effort away from home, brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic performance. Us fans can't ask for anything more than that. We did sort of have to climb a mountain though, Paul, because Lee Mossop was sort of pulled before kickoff due to injury. Things like that puts you in real sort of backs to the wall mentality, and I think it helped.
Yeah, it did. I mean, you've only got to look at the players who came. Jack Ormonroyd came in. That was late on, but I think Jack Wells. I thought he stood up, and I couldn't believe how much running that he did. He just seemed to be there all the time, taking the ball up. And I think he sort of came of age in that game, and showed that he's a real hot prospect. We're talking about England teams and things like that in the World Cup. For a young forward there, if he can maintain that sort of performance, he'll be in with a shout, because he's really impressed me, and he's got better and better every week. He tackled everything that moved, ran the ball and ran his blood to water, and I thought he was tremendous, and he gave us a massive lift. I thought for me though, Dan Sargison's presence before the game and around the players and when we kicked off, he just seemed to give everybody a lift. He's so vocal on there, and I think I probably said it in the report, my match report, about him being what's the word I'm looking for? A bit clumsy at times, sometimes with his tackling, but you wouldn't want to take that away from him, because he's such an influence on everybody else, his enthusiasm and what he puts in. So it's a fine line, it's a balancing act now that Richard Marshall's got to do. You never ever want to get rid of that enthusiasm, because that's what makes the man he is. But you've just got to sort of, I don't know, just calm him down a bit, because he is becoming a bit of a liability. But he definitely gave the team a massive lift. And I know you listened to Ian Watson, he was disappointed that he sent the wrong man off, because he knew that Dan Sargison was such a good player and he had an influence in the game. But that's another story. I thought he was tremendous. But Chris Atkin as well, I thought he guided the team around the pitch. There were so many great performances that you couldn't really sort of single anybody out. I think everybody who played in that match was tremendous, and the way they worked, and young Ben Davies as well from St Helens. I mean, the young kid there, he was played a real sort of tough game there. Wise. What's the word? I'm looking for words here now. He was like a real
inspiration.
Well, yeah, he played, above his experience, really. He played like he'd been playing the game for 10, 15 years, and he's only a young kid, and the way he was so calm there at the end, I think he was the guy who pouched the ball from that drop goal attempt, and he was there and made the ball safe. So I don't know what the scriptures were. We forgot to ask Richard Marshall, didn't we, about if he's staying, because he was on a 2-week loan, so I don't know if he's gone back, but he deserves a lot of credit, that lad.
Yeah, it was a fantastic form. Let's just have a quick look at the game in the highlights, Parky. Andy Ackers with our try scorer under the post. Fantastic scoot from Dummiar to get over there.
Yeah, very clever. I mean, we were spoiled in the last couple of years, weren't we, with having Joey Lussick doing that every other week. And it just shows you, when you've got a key experienced player in that role, if we can keep him in the team, we missed him. He's probably played 50% of the games this year so far. He has a great influence on the game. I thought he had a fantastic game the other night again. He was in everything we did. He worked so hard in defence and attack. And so, to have the sort of vision to see what was happening. And if you watch it, how a tackle before we drew defenders in, he spotted it beforehand. He knew what he was going to do. It was all pre-planned. I thought he had an excellent game, to be fair. And it's great to have him in the team, because it makes such a difference to have an actual hooker at that role. I know it's not so much hooking anymore, but as that acting half. I thought he had a brilliant game and controlled things really well. Another one who I think like Paul said about Sarge, I think he's very vocal. I think he's great with the team. I think he has such an influence when he's not got the ball in hand. It helps, but yeah, it got us off to a great start, didn't it? Great vision, a little dive over. So let's hope there's more of that to come from him.
Yeah, very impressive performance from the spine. Paul, Declan Patton, Chris Atkin pulling the strings. Tuilala here wasn't wasn't involved, but you didn't really see any difference. They were fantastic, both of them, either side of the ruck, asking questions, and that's the important thing. Obviously, when you're playing against these top sides, you need to be prompting and probing them, and that's what happened.
Yeah, well, for me, the first thing I noticed on Friday was we were playing to a bit more of a structure, a bit more of a game plan, and putting pressure on Huddesfield. I can't remember how many times Huddesfield kicked the ball dead. We got quite a few of them 7 tackle sets because we pressured them and made them panic. So I think our game plan was absolutely spot on. It really was from 1 to 13. The whole spine played well. Forward ran hard. The enthusiasm was there, and they put pressure on Huddersfield. I think they panicked at times in that first half, and we didn't score loads of points, but I think we were head and shoulders above them. I never thought they looked like scoring. I think we really limited them to chances. And you can say, oh, Huddersfield were poor. I don't think they were poor. I think we just didn't let them play because our defence was so good. Markers were really solid, and you didn't give them any room. Or you look at the side; they've got Cogger, the halfback, got injured early doors, so Aidan Caesar came on. So it just shows you what riches they've got there to bring a guy on like that. And he's one of those that's up there for the man of steel, isn't he? He's one of the best halfbacks in the league and always raved about. But we never let him have any room or any space. Same with Lee Gaskell; they never really got going. But that's credit to how you defend and how you put pressure on teams.
Yeah, obviously, we'll talk about the big moment in the game, the sending off Parker. I think it's fair to say that the ref got the wrong man, and he was a big influence on the game, on his decision which he made.
Yeah. Did he get the wrong man? I don't know. No one's mentioned it. Yeah. No, look, yeah, it's a terrible mistake from the referee and his officials. Something should have been done about it, I suppose. In all fairness, as much as certain people have had a whinge this week about it, it is right. It shouldn't have happened, and did get the wrong man. And you've got to feel for Greenwood because he's back in the team, and he's a player that he impresses me every time he plays, and we've missed him quite a lot as well. And it's a shame that he had to go off. But yeah, I mean, when you see it, you only see it at one angle, don't you? And I didn't see how high or whatever he's took him, but he's definitely clumsy. He's reckless when he jumps in. And like we were saying before, with Sarge, he does have that in him, that technique, but he's wholehearted. That's what he wants to do. He was stopping a try, and that was the only thing in his mind. And he's clattered him. If it's high, it's high. Even if it's not, it's a reckless tackle. And if it went the other way around and it was on our player, I'd be screaming for a red card. So, it's right. It's the wrong man, wrong decision. I don't really know how the referee got it so wrong when he was stood that close. And he had an goal judge behind him and everything. But look, it happened. Did it alter the course of the game? Maybe. I don't know. There's no saying that if Sargent had gone, we wouldn't have still won the game. You can't. All these complaints and stuff like that, they're all irrelevant. It happened. You just got to deal with it. But yeah, it was if he hadn't done it, would they have scored? Could it cost us the game? So in many ways, it just makes him more of a hero in my eyes, to be honest with you. But that's the way Sarge plays, and as fullback, he will do that, and that's the only sad thing though. We miss him again for another 3 weeks, and I think I said to you guys the other day, by the time he's back, he'll have played something like, I think he'll have missed something like 6 out of 15 games so far this season through one reason or another, or 7 out of 15 or something. It's, that's not ideal when he's one of our, our best players. Obviously, he would have been in the England team this week anyway, so we probably wouldn't have had him. But the incident itself was unfortunate, but it happened, and it was up to them 12 lads on the pitch then to see us through.
Yeah, it was obviously a big moment, Paul. I watched it back again, thinking, how did he not get this right? And you think Sargent kind of picks up the loose ball and just kind of blends into the background like Predator, like the film Predator. And I think after it all calms down, you kind of make a mini huddle, and he kind of hides in the huddle. So referee's none the wiser, doesn't know who clobbered him, and so he just picks Greenwood out because he thinks it was 20 odd, and I think he just picked him. And it was just the way it was. I think it was, it was clever for what the Salford players did, even though Greenwood kind of protested his innocence as he walked off the pitch. And I think it was Josh Johnson walked over to him and was like, "Just get off the pitch." Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think it was it was a bad decision. The referee's been sort of demoted now to the first division this week, so he's had his punishment. But we've had a few decisions over the years that haven't gone our way. and I think this one kind of takes about sort of half them away.
I wouldn't say half of them, Rob. I mean, what I couldn't understand, I was sat 40 yards away on the halfway line in the side stand, and I could see it was Dan Sargent that did that tackle because I was watching the following the play. So, because you could tell by the way he ran in it with Sargent, so he's got a touch judge, an in-goal judge, and himself stood there, and they've got someone in the crowd as well, so like a fourth official. So I don't know how they managed to mess it up, but these things happen in sport, don't they? And listening to the opposition coach, Ian Watson, at the end of the game, I don't want to be disrespectful to Ian, but what I'd be saying there is, why couldn't my team break 12 men down in 50 minutes rather than focusing on that? Because at the end of the day, you can say what you want about it changing the game. Dan Sargent didn't go on and score a hat-trick in that game. He didn't really set a load of tries up. So I didn't really get the point they were trying to make there. So I think that was a big smoke screen, and to sort of take the pressure off his own players and things like that. And at the end of the day, it's happened. There's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing Richard Marsh can do about it. The week before, we had a man sin-binned wrongly, and that totally changed that game. I mean, I'm not saying we would have won that game against OKR, but it totally changed the game. So Richard Marshall never once whinged about that the week before. I mean, he even went along with it and said he thought it was a sin-binning. So I think sometimes you've got to rise higher than things and just get on with it. And we did. And you play to the whistle, don't you? It's like a couple of weeks ago, Josh Griffin dropped the ball. We were talking about that, weren't we, in that cup game. Theo Farge picks it up and goes and scores, right? You play to the whistle in rugby league, and you'll find when Australia come over for this World Cup at the end of the year, do you think they'll pat you on the head and say, oh, he's not on there, we'll give him the ball back, fair play and all that? Will they, heck? They'll play to they're ruthless, and that's how you've got to be. And we were ruthless on Friday night, and I thought, fair play to Salford. Yeah, we got a bit of luck. And it's fish and chip, baby. You just get on with it, don't you? So there's no point moaning about it. It's just one of them things. And yeah, wrong man, but if you can't win a game there, Huddesfield, this top four side that they're going to be playing against 12 men, they couldn't break us down. So there's bigger problems there for them to look at, I think, than just the wrong man being sent off. But that was poor.
Yeah, obviously everyone lifted the performance after we'd gone down to 12 men parking, and you could see that both sort of in attack and defence. I think attacking, we were very smart as the game went on. We played the scenario rather than the team and the conditions very, very well. Because Huddesfield, you could see them, the longer the game went on, the more they panicked, and you could see balls going down. And we just kept plodding on, playing the sets and getting in positions. And eventually Atkin got in a drop goal area and kicked the goal to put us clear.
Yeah, the control that we played with when we went to 12 men was brilliant. From the two halfbacks and Andy Ackers, controlling the kicking, was spot on. It was into the right areas. It was buying us time. It was pinning them back down their end of the pitch. Fantastic game management. Simple as that. Which is, obviously even harder to do when you're playing against an extra man. Defensively, we were rock solid. Absolutely brilliant. And it wasn't a case of, I've seen it a lot where our defence kind of hangs back and then trots in a few yards. It was in the faces. It was putting them off the game constantly. Because if we'd have given them space with the extra man, they would have probably, they should win the game from there. Just all round full credit. But I've got to say, like Paul said before, I thought that Patton played well. But Chris Atkin again, I thought he was so... I don't really know why he's gone under the radar so much when he's got that game in him. His kicking's fantastic, absolutely brilliant. But everything he did with the ball was clever. It was premeditated all the time. And like Paul said again before about the game plan, we seem to have something with them two guys together. I did predict it last week. I won't brag. That it was probably time. That I know Tui had other things going on as well last week, but that's. I just thought I'd throw that in. But I thought they worked brilliantly together. They worked off each other and separately. And that just helped us control the game. Now, one thing I did want to say, though, is that I feel a bit for Scott McLauskis, because for me, he's one of the better referees. He's made a massive howler this week, but generally, I find him a fair referee. He's one of them that you don't walk away from the ground sort of going, oh, he hates us, this guy, or he's... Do you know what I mean? You get what you get off him. And I do feel for him a little bit, because there's more senior referees, shall we say, who make bigger blunders 2 or 3 times every week, and then we'll get the grand final and the cup final. So, I do feel for him a little bit. I hope it doesn't, tarnish him in any way, but he got the wrong decision. There are other people there that could have helped him out and clearly didn't. So, but, just wanted to go back to that. But, yeah, no, like you say, Rob, the control we had over the game management was superb. Every time we got a chance, we just pinned them back down their end. And they really struggled to make meters. They really did. I was so chuffed with our pack of forwards. And again, we lost Moose before the game. Our pack leader, if you like, and every single one of them stood up. And then we lost another forward during the game, and it just kept going. It was seamless. And for most of the game, you wouldn't even realise we only had 12 men. So I can't credit the lads enough for this. It was fantastic.
Yeah, talking about the Chris Atkins kicking game, Paul, there was a kick with about a minute to go, 30 seconds to go, that Atkin put deep into their half early in the set. And that kind of, was tactical genius, that, because he can't score from 80 yards away. And it put all the pressure on Huddesfield.
It did. It took the sting out of them. It really did that. And the players, I can sort of vaguely remember them sort of cheering each other and clapping each other and things like that. I thought the team spirit was absolutely fantastic on Friday night. You've not seen that really this season. Players sort of congratulating each other for a big tackle or trapping somebody in goal. They were absolutely buzzing. They were bouncing for that game, and that's what we've been wanting to see. But no, it was just a performance that sometimes these come along performances like that, don't you think, well, where's that been? Where has that been? Everything seemed to click into place. And I really hope now Richard Marshall can look at that and go, yeah, I've nailed that position now. He's going to play there. He's going to play there. And I can sort that out now. Because I really hope he keeps it the same this week and he gets the opportunity against Leeds to, obviously he'll have to make a couple of changes because Greg Burke and Dan Sargent have been suspended. But I hope the spine on the side now, I'd really like him to give Declan Patton and Chris Atkin another go at half-back. I think they deserve another chance. But the rest of the side as well, the likes of Elijah Taylor, another good big performance from him. Andy Ackers, who you've mentioned, I thought was superb. And yeah, I don't know what the script is with the young lad from St Helens, Ben Davis. I just hope he's staying. But I believe Matty Costello's not far off now, so we've got other players coming in. But yeah, we really need to kick on from that now. But it was a great night. And it keeps our run going as well. At Huddesfield, we've not lost there since 2013, so that's 8 years on the spin now. So yeah, it's a good record for us.
Yeah, Parky, I think you can always tell where a team is mentally by how they defend. And I thought there was two big moments. There was the Deck Patton last minute tackle on, I think it was Cudjoe on one side of the field, and I think Reece Williams dumping is it McGilvery onto the corner flag on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
Sort of extra efforts which makes the difference in crucial games like this one.
Without a doubt, moments like that they win your games. It's them little things that happen. Both sides, like you say, both flanks, they were over as far as you could make out, and that extra little effort and that fight for each other, which, let's be honest, wasn't there in the Warrington game. What definitely wasn't there in the old KR game. Some of our defence on them occasions was, well, embarrassing. And this week, it just made up for it. Every single player just got stuck in. I mean, like Paul said there about Elijah Taylor. And again, you'll give us the stats in a bit. I'm sure he was probably in the 30s again in these tackles, maybe even more. I don't know. He seemed to be everywhere. And again, a real leader on the pitch, and that's what you need. But the communication as well when you've got 12 men is so key to cover them gaps, because there's always gaps. Even when you've got 13 men, there's a gap in the line somewhere that somebody of certainly an Aidan Caesar's skill level could exploit. And they went wide because they knew we'd have to get sucked in somewhere. And on every occasion, we did what we had to do. And the two times we forced them out of play, game winners. The drop goal wouldn't have counted. It wouldn't have mattered for anything if them little bits of effort weren't there. And that's it. Defending our line, to be fair, I will say most of the time we're actually quite good. We've had a few this year where we've probably let ourselves down a little bit, but it's usually been in the middle of the park where we've had these problems, and we hang back. This week, I don't know if the sending off fired us up as well. I don't know if that had an effect, but we certainly got stuck into them. And Huddesfield, I felt at certain parts in the game we knocked the confidence out of them, and I do think, and I might be very wrong, obviously Ian Watson's not around to defend himself on this, but I think perhaps his nervous energy or whatever about that game got to his players a little bit, because they lost control. They didn't seem to be focused. They didn't seem to have a game plan, and whether they got a bit overexcited when they realised we'd gone down to 12 men and they thought, well, this is going to be easier. I don't know. I think it had the opposite effect on each team. So, but yeah, defensively, absolutely magnificent. And if we defend like that every week, we won't go far wrong. We won't lose many games. And if we do, it won't by these 40, 50, 60 points.
it's an important win, Paul. But Richard Marshall, as we'll see in the interview in a minute, he talks about, not getting overexcited about it and just focusing on, it's one win and it's a stepping stone to bigger and better things. And I think that's probably the right mentality, because we're like bouncing off every one in the house at the moment because we've just beat Huddesfield away by a point. But we've got bigger challenges to come.
Well, yeah, we've won 2 in 10. So it's not exactly champagne popping, is it now? You've got Leeds and Wakefield coming up at home. And it'll be like a step forward and 2 steps back if you lose these 2 games. Now we need to win both these matches. We need to beat Leeds, and we need to put a good showing in front of our supporters. So yeah, it's a crucial game this weekend. I think you've done all that hard work now, and you can't afford to let that slip. And I don't think they will. I think that was just what we needed. And just thinking what you were saying there about the sending off, I think the sending off did us good. I think it brought the team together, and I think that could be the turning point in our season. It could be, because that's that bit of adversity there, it brought the players together and they had to do something about it. It was like fly or die, as they say, in it. So and they had to make a decision there, and I think they did. They came together, they put everything in, they ran the blood to water, they tackled the socks off, and we needed a performance like that. We said it a couple of weeks ago about getting a win. Doesn't matter whether it's a big win, as long as it's a win. It might be a scruffy win, and I think saying a scruffy win is disrespectful to both sides. I don't think it was. It was a good game. That was a cracking match. There wasn't loads of mistakes in it. It was just 2 really solid defences going toe to toe. And I thought in the first half that Huddesfield underestimated us. I think they thought we was going to turn up there. Bloody hell, they've let 100 points in 2 games. These. I don't think Ian Watson did, but I think his players did a bit. Because Watson would have done his own work on Salford. There's no doubt about that. He's that sort of coach. But I think his players perhaps did underestimate us a bit. And we came out there firing. And we've got to carry that on now. We need to carry that on against Leeds and Wakefield. There's no use admiring it now and looking at it thinking, we had a great win there. That win will mean nothing if you go back on a losing run. Yeah,
talking about Richard Marshall. This is me speaking to him after the press conference after the match.
All right, Ricky, it's Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Congratulations on a big win tonight. How do you and your players feel after that?
We're ecstatic. We're really pleased. We knew it was just round the corner. We didn't know it would be quite under the circumstances that's happened today. There was lots that went on in that game that we couldn't foresee or predict or even prepare for, which probably makes it all the more sweeter, really, to go up against a really strong team who've been doing really well, and get the win was massive. It's a massive confidence booster for our team.
Yeah, Dick Patton and Chris Atkin were your half-back pairing tonight after you left out Tuilai here. They were very impressive managing the game and looking dangerous, and as a team we look more dangerous as well.
Yeah, the combinations were good. But as I said earlier, I thought the pack was outstanding. I thought we had a real good go on the front foot. Tuilai here's partner's had a baby this week, so there's a little bit of that as well. And he'd not prepared in the week. So we just thought we'd have a look at Deck and Chris. I thought the combination was really good. But they can both play better as well. Deck's not had a start this season, so he'll be better for that start.
Yeah, James Green was sent off in a case of mistaken identity. As a coach, what when you're sort of reorganising, what's best, losing your fullback or losing a forward?
I think losing a fullback is worse than losing a forward. We've not had. I don't know if luck's the word or whatever. We've not had anything of any sort given to us. And we don't want to. I thought we earned the win there, whether it was Sarge or Greenwood or whoever. I thought we were outstanding defensively, and as I say, we nullified threats that Huddesfield threw at us.
Yeah, you can't fault your efforts of your players in that second half against all odds. It was incredible.
It was, yeah, that's a fair assessment. It was incredible, but this group's been, we've been in the mill. We've had fingers pointed at us, and I thought that was excellent just to repay the faith in the supporters, our fans, our families, everyone who's been so supportive. But let's not get carried away. There's a long way to go yet. It's one win. It was a 1-point win, fought out against good opposition away from home, and we'll move on.
Yeah, the second half, the effort was there, but you also played the scenario well, and definitely. Did you think this is the smartest sort of performance from your team so far? this season?
I think it was the toughest, the most resilient performance I've seen for a long time of a lot of teams that I've worked with. And I mentioned that to the players to go through what we did, losing your skipper in the warm-up and then everything else that went along with that game to come through and win. It was really satisfying. All the credit goes to the players. They've had it. They've been under the pump. They've been under the spotlight and under the pump. And I thought they came through with flying colours this evening.
Yeah, Leeds next game. Something. So obviously, with tonight's results, something good to build on.
Yeah, that's it. We're in tomorrow. There's no weekends off or celebrating. We're in tomorrow. We're at work. We'll be reviewing that. We've not reviewed a performance like that for a while, so I'm looking forward to the vision this evening. And then we'll fire in this week.
Any injuries? We pick any injuries up?
I think young Ben Davis got a bit of a groin strain, but managed to carry on, which was great for us. He's been a really shining light for us. Elijah Taylor's got a knock on into his ribs and come off with a head knock. So did Harvey, and obviously Lee Mossop at the start.
So that was me talking to Richard Marshall after the match. Parkin, he credited his players for the fantastic performance, but really he should be on more, and he should be involved in that praise as well, because obviously he's built this team, and they showed fantastic character throughout.
Yeah, I mean the pressure that it doesn't seem like he's felt it, but the pressure he would have been under. Another loss. Where do you go from there? Is it the board of directors or whatever start looking and thinking this isn't going well? Could it be time for change or whatever? So Richard would have been under a lot of pressure. But again, that didn't get passed on to the boys. They went out and just did their job. And it's interesting listening to how calm he is about it. I mean, like you say, we're all bouncing off the walls and singing it from the rooftop. Look at us, we just won by a point away from home with 12 men. Look how good we are. And he knows it's a long way to go. Like Paul said, before the interview there, there's no point us winning that and then getting stuffed off Leeds. He knows it's time to concentrate again, feet back on the ground. Let's go again. Let's show him now what we have got. Let's get this roll on. We've got 2 home games coming now, both winnable. Against teams literally just above us. If we win this, we go level with Leeds this week. There's a chance you could do the same and go above them or whatever the week after. I mean, it turns around so quickly in sport. But he's not got carried away, clearly, and he won't let the team get carried away. And obviously, there's going to be changes again this week. But I think his calmness is what's probably rubbed off on the players there. There's no need to panic. Which I think, as I said before, was the opposite with perhaps Ian Watson and his Huddesfield team this week. I think maybe a little bit of his passion and his whatever got into his team a little bit. But no, I'm happy for Richie. He has been under a lot of stress, and he's not over yet. Like you say, it could all go wrong again this week. This is how bad sport can be to you. It's not good for your health anyway. But no, the way he spoke there about his team, and you can hear it. There was a sense of pride in there about what what the team had achieved on the day. But he's not going over the top with it. He's just happy to tick along, and let's focus on this week now and all the challenges that have been thrown up this week for us.
Is it calmness, Paul, or is it elite mentality? Because obviously he's coached at England sort of academy. He's been involved at the likes of Warrington and St Helens at kind of playing in grand finals and things like that. And he knows that, this win is important, but it's about consolidating the next one, and that's how you build a castle.
I think it's a bit of a mixture of things, isn't it, sometimes? I mean, as a coach, I don't think you can ride the emotions the same way as a supporter does, because you've got a job to do, so you can't sort of enjoy it as much. Richard Marshall probably didn't enjoy that weekend as much as we did, because he'd be preparing for the week after, whereas we couldn't. I mean, I was absolutely buzzing Saturday morning and Sunday, and you're just running around your house telling your kids, "Oh yes, Salford 198." Not bothered, but yeah. So you live it a bit more, don't you? But he is very calm, Richard Marshall. One thing I've noticed about him, he does take a lot of, he deflects a lot of it away from the players, and he has done the last few weeks in his interviews, and that he does take a lot of the criticism on board, and I think he's a clever bloke. He's doing a good job at Salford, and he's had a lot of adversity to put up with as well, hasn't he? We've said that. He's never really had the same squad. He's had a lot of injuries, and it'll be the same this week. But at least this week, perhaps the spine could stay pretty similar. With the halfbacks and the hooker there. I mean, I know he's going to be a change at full back. That's another conundrum for him again this week with Sarge being out. But no, he is starting to get, hopefully, a bit of a settled side, and I think that's what we need. I think that's what Rich needs.
Yeah, looking at the stats, Parker, top tacklers, Elijah Taylor 31, so you're in the 30s like you said before. Andy Ackers 51, Greg Burke 33, Josh Johnson 31, Harvey Levett 32, Jack Wells 34, and Deck Patton 31. So a lot of tackling done, but that 12 men, and that's the kind of thing you have to do to win a game.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned Ackers before, I didn't realise he'd done that much defence. I knew he was key in defence, but I didn't think he'd done that much. That's tremendous. Did you say 51?
Yeah, 51.
That's a great effort from him and all the foot players. And then Deck Patton having to do 30 odd tackles. Obviously, we're targeting him, saying if you run at him, you will get through him. Obviously, it didn't work, So full credit to Deck again. And like Paul said earlier, I hope he gets a run in the team now. Brilliant, great work. And there was a lot of defence on both sides. You got your ball, you ran it in. Like Paul said earlier, there weren't that many mistakes in the game, so it was full sets. A lot of tackling to be done, and some great work. And that's phenomenal effort from Ackers with all the attacking stuff he did as well. That's a tremendous effort. I didn't realise he'd done that much. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Richard Marshall, Paul, in the pre-season talked about how he'd worked on his sort of the offensive structure, and it kind of showed in games like that when the pressure was on, they managed to keep the boat afloat.
Yeah, they did. One thing that particularly impressed me was the defence on the edges. I mean, a couple of times this season we've been caught out wide. I think especially against Warrington and the OKR game as well, we kept getting broke down the same side quite a few times. But Joe Burgess has come in, and I think he's firmed things up. I think he had a decent game, defended well. As I keep praising the young lad from Saints, Ben Davis, I thought he defended well. I thought everybody did the job, and I thought we were dead professional at marker. We was good round the ruck there, defending, and it was a really gritty performance. And Huddesfield have got some dangerous players, and we kept them quiet for the whole game. So it was good defending. And as I said before, the forwards, I'm waiting for your stats on the meters made here, because I think Jack Wells got well over 100 in that game. He probably proved me wrong now, but he seemed to take the ball up sort of every other tackle. He was running the ball, and I thought, blimey, how much work's he doing, the lad? But I thought he was tremendous. I was reading League Express today, and I don't know how they worked that one out. I think there was one Salford player, I think Chris Atkin got 3 points on the man of the match. Then it was 2 Huddesfield players got 2 and 1, and I thought, not having that. I thought Jack Wells should have been definitely in that, so I don't know where they got that one from. But I think every player who played Friday night, when you're doing those match ratings, you'd have been 8 and 9s for all of them, really. I thought they were all... You say that to me, Rob, don't you? You should say that about... You want people to be 8s and 9s every week if you're going to do well. And I thought they were all 8s and 9s. There was no 5s and 6s in there. They were all solid and good performances. Yeah,
let's go on the meters then, Paul. Jack Wells, 159. Dan Sargent, 209. Harvey Levett, 94. Josh Johnson, 124. Seb, 101. Ackers, 89. And Elijah Taylor, 116. So, like I say, most weeks, if you get 3, 4, 5 over 100, you're going the right way.
How many did Dan Sargent get?
209.
209 in 30 minutes? If he'd have been on the whole game, they'd about 500 metres, the lad.
That's what it says.
I think Jack Wells 159 for a forward. That's their big yards, because with the forward as well, you're not sort of running out wide and running space. That is solid meters where you're hitting a man and carting that ball forward. So I think 159. That's like NRL stuff, isn't it? That's what them lads do every week. So, like I said before, for Jack now, I just want to see him blossom now and keep going, because I think we've got a little gem there in him. Well, a big gem. He's a big lad. But speaking to Richard Marshall on the week, he was saying that he's a really committed young lad. He gets down, with the junior clubs. He's a local lad. He loves going down there, helping those guys out as well. He seems a real sort of level-headed lad, nice, quiet lad as well. And I wish him all the best. It's lads like that that the fans warm to, don't they? And I think Jack Wells is becoming a big, firm favourite of the supporters.
Yeah, I just wanted to add there, actually, I know you mentioned him down at the amateur clubs. I know he's down at Folly, Jack. doing a bit with Costello, funnily enough. And my brother takes my nephew there, and they were training the other night, and he was down. And my brother was chatting to Jack's dad, and he was saying how much he's loving it. He's just loving being involved, getting the game time he wants. You know, obviously he's playing for his hometown team. That's big enough anyway. But at last he's getting his chance at Wigan. He was a bit part here and there. He made his debut in a few starts, and then he got left out. And that's going to happen at that kind of club, I suppose. You know, but he's absolutely loving his time now, and I think we're getting the best out of him. And I was going to save this for the man of the match thing, but I've got to say, Jack Wells was man of the match by an absolute mile the other night. It's not even a question. Every time we had the ball, he seemed to have it in his hands. I didn't quite, you know, it seemed to be him every time. I was thinking, how many Jack Wells have we got? and playing prop forward, he's not a prop forward. He's not built like a traditional prop forward. But he's been put there the last few weeks, and he's done a job, and he's done a job really well. And the other night, like I said, I've been holding back because obviously the man of the match thing. But I'm going to say, you know, he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. If he carries on like that, you know, he's got a massive. He's only young, you know. Him and Harvey Levette, for me, two absolute standouts in our pack. Both young, both getting the chance now to play constantly, week in, week out, and it just proves what you can get out of a player. And I'm delighted for the pair of them. Certainly Jack, being a local lad, he was magnificent to see the other night.
Yeah, I did get it wrong, Paul, because of my handwriting. It's 207, not 209.
Oh, right. So, well, it's not bad, then, is it? 2 meters. Boy, it's still that's the length of me. That so you've not done too bad, has it? 207. But no, I'll just go with Parky as well. My man of the match was Jack Wells all night long. And I think I put that on your Twitter. I thought it was coming of age performance from a young. And there's nothing better than seeing a young player who's. I know he was at Wigan for a while, but he's a local lad, and there's nothing better than seeing a young lad doing that in your team. And no, I'm really pleased for him. He seems a really good guy.
Yeah, unsung hero though for me, Parker. Josh Johnson, 124 meters and 31 tackles, and that is a shift and a half. That.
Yeah.
He played well. I noticed a few of his runs were a bit blockbusting. He was knocking forward over. I've just thrown my pen on the floor. I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
No, he was. He was really. He did stand out the other night. The only thing that I was a bit sort of not put off by, maybe Richie Marshall being a bit cautious for his squad, was that luckily they didn't get a game, because I think he's really shone in the last few weeks. But Johnson's obviously coming in his place to do that job. And he did it really well the other night. He did stand out. I remember him making a couple of runs where they were blockbusting. And I think I might be wrong, but was it his run not one that set up the drop goal, led up to the drop goal that won us the game? I'm sure he was involved in that play, just driving the ball direct at them, making meters and meters after contact, not just going down at the first man. He played really well. And again, he's got time on his side. And he's not had that much experience Super League wise. I didn't realise he'd actually played at Huddesfield as well. I wasn't aware of that, but we got that was information that 3 of our 4 on the bench had all played at Huddesfield. It makes a change, doesn't it? It's usually the other way around. They're all Salford players. But yeah, no, good to see. And then there's that competition again now. Who comes in? Obviously Berkey's out this week, so probably Sam Luckley will come back in. Depending on injuries, but we've got that sort of flexibility where you can take one player out and put another one in. There's no difference, and that's what you're looking for in the squad. You don't want this guy's an absolute superstar, and you've got to put him in with somebody who's of lesser. It doesn't matter if they're both brilliant or both on the same level. But once you place, you bring one in, you're not losing anything. So he played well the other night. And it's good to have that backup off the bench.
Yeah. Big thanks for your 3-word match reports for man of the matches. OSF, complete team performance, Jack Wells. Pete Brady, what a team, all 17. He's a poet and doesn't know it. I said potential season changer. Pattern, Paul. I think it was. I think the longer the game went on, and I thought if we can see it here, our season could go down the tubes, and we didn't. And I think that's going to be a big thing going forward.
Yeah, definitely. It was. And I think one thing, before I forget to mention, I think the supporters there behind the sticks, I thought they're absolutely outstanding. You could hear them all game, and I don't know if you could hear them on the telly on the Our League app, if it was on that, but There was only about 2,500 at the ground, but the Salford supporters, I think they give the team a real lift, and I think they have done since they've come back. And they sang their hearts out all the way through that game, and the relief at the end when that final looter went, you could feel it around the ground. It was tremendous. Or the relief when they went for that drop goal and we sort of got the ball back. That was relief. The players there, it's like, it was a massive relief. And that win, I think, yeah, definitely. I think it could be a game changer, that, Rob. I think we've got to build on that now. And sometimes it does take something like that to change a season.
Duncan, great desire and effort. David Walling back in business. Ackers, Martin, Ackers, Atkin, Patton. And his man of the match was the team. Red Devils fan. Hearts of Lions, all of them. Colin Wilson, pleased for Marshall, Wells, Craig Wallwork, James Greenwood for taking the Sargent red card, David Howe, finally halves dictate. Wells was his man of the match. Gary Williams, proud, the team. Graham wasn't, he said, take that, Watto. I suppose if you play against your old side, Parker, you want to sort of put one over on them. But when your old side put one over on you, and it's a kind of in controversial ways, which you probably didn't get when you were coach there, it probably sticks in the throat that a little bit more.
I think you can tell by the interviews after the game who it affected the most. It's always good if you're an ex-player and you're going back to a club, or certainly probably as an ex-manager. If you get the win, it means more. This time it's the other way around. And I'm delighted it was, but that'll hurt. That'll hurt a lot on their end. But yeah, it was good to. It's always good to get one over on somebody, isn't it? It doesn't matter what the connection is. I suppose it's always good to be, in this case, your old manager. So fantastic. I'm sure the players that knew Watto and played under him would have been super proud the other night of themselves and all the teammates for making that happen, to say, you left us, well, there's payback.
Harvey Reid up the Reds. Atkin, Ernie, round it out. Ackers. Your mate Roy Ellaby, Paul, frustrated at home because I think he couldn't get there. So because obviously he couldn't really keep up with how the game was going because the Salford feed wasn't sort of minute by minute, which is a frustration for him. But I suppose it's even more tense when you're not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, that's right. And happy birthday to Roy. It's his birthday today as well. Has
he been round?
He texted me before. He'd been for a 4-mile walk, he said, for his birthday.
4 mile?
Yeah, it's a long way. And he does a lot of walking, does Roy. But we've just been trying to organise a brew. I'm going to meet up with him for a brew soon, because considering he lives so close to me, so we'll have a chat about all things. So he's a good lad, Roy. But I think he would have had it on the radio, because I know Jack Dearden was there. But I think they had reports from Wigan. I think Wigan was the GMR game, wasn't it? The Radio Manchester game. So I think it was just updates at Salford. But it must be frustrating when you're not there and you can't get it on Twitter or whatever, because Twitter's normally pretty good in it for updates and things like
that. Mark Scott, backs to the walls. Wells, Tony Frame, blood to water. Every single player. Chris Seedhouse, rock solid defence. Seb, Mike Woodbridge, kickstart the season. Wells, David Deakin, best performance yet. All 17. James Hoskinson, pride, passion, belief. Ackers, John Waite, pride, grit, aggression. Elijah Taylor, Chris Slowan, great defence performance. Wells, Paul, you said nearly in tears. Wells, Stuart Shields, all of them. Patrick Conley, huge performance. Man of the match, Wells, and in brackets, Ackers, Seb, Atkin, Taylor. You can only have one Patrick, so we'll go with Wells. Clarkey, about time. I suppose it is one of them. We've been waiting long enough for a big performance now, which is one of them. Hopefully it'll continue. We'll get more in the coming weeks. Mark Taylor, lost for words. Adam Aubrey, happy for Marshall, Wells, and final one. We've got Steve Doyle, bring on Leeds, and his man of the match was Patton, Paul.
Yeah, you can't argue with any of them, can you, really? And it's funny, sometimes you think about what a difference a week makes, and a week's a long time in rugby league, and you think back to 7 days previously was at OKR. It was like the whole world had fallen apart, wasn't you? 40 points to 4, and it was a bit of a desperate defeat, that. And then 7 days later, you're in heaven, aren't you? You're winning 9-8 against your old manager with 12 men in their own backyard. It's funny how things change round. And I come out driving home from the Huddesfield game. I had a chat with you, Parky, didn't I, on the way home, and when I put the phone down to Parky, I was just thinking to myself, wow, this is why you do this. This is why you follow them, because, yeah, they can get beat one week, and you read stuff on the internet and people say, oh, I'm not going again, they're rubbish and all that. And I think, but you will do, though, because that's why you go again, because these good times, you enjoy them a bit more, because you think, bloody hell, I remember the week before we got beat by 60 against Warrington. So that's what makes sport and rugby league and football and other team sports as a supporter. I think that's what makes it magical. It really does.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it on that point, Paul, because that's perfectly put for me. So that's the talk about the Huddesfield game. What we'll do now, look at all the big news coming out of the club this week. So we'll start with the Leeds game, originally scheduled for Friday. Parky now moved to Sunday. Leeds have a few players involved in the midweek international, and a few players down with COVID as well. There's like a obscure rule that if you have more than 5, you can ask for it to be postponed or moved, and that's what's happened basically.
Yeah, I want to be careful and be diplomatic what I say, but no, well, it's a joke. It's an absolute farce. The game it's run by morons, I think. I'm sorry, I'm not. Why would put an international, which is apparently so important to England's build up to the World Cup, on the same weekend as other Super League matches in the first place? It makes no sense whatsoever. Even in football, when they have friendlies, in the Premier League, the money that's in that, they don't have games. They call the games off. They have a week off, whatever. But I don't understand this thinking. Of course, all the good teams are going to lose players, all their best players. That's what's going to happen. And this All-Stars, it's a fiasco. They're getting players from the Championship and everywhere. This is not an All-Stars team. This isn't something that's going to test a big, strong international side, is it? What are we proving by doing this? You know, if you're going to take International Rugby League seriously, which they should be doing, in my eyes, I love International Rugby League, have a weekend off. And if you want, pick 2 England sides or British sides, whatever you want, and play them against each other. This fixture now makes no sense to me. It was supposed to be an overseas All-Stars, wasn't it, initially? And then you've got, Jake Connor and Cruz Lehman and people like that, whatever. Hang on, what's happened here? And it's not only Leeds that are losing players. Other teams are, and still playing, by the way, on the same night. They've not rescheduled. They've not bottled it as such. I think it's a joke. I know if you're getting games called off for COVID, which Leeds did again and didn't travel to Catalan again without punishment, the questions have got to be asked, well, where's this COVID outbreak come and why is it causing us so many problems? Somebody's responsible. Somebody's got to be, looking after the team. And then the way it affects us, we've now got to play 3 games in 8 days. That's ridiculous. Player welfare. That's what they were banging on about a year or so ago. And then last year, when we were going through this crisis, we had a cup final coming up, we had the semi-final, everything, and we had so many league games to catch up on. And we decided one day that we just didn't have enough players or fit players that we could safely play a game. We lose the game 24-0 by the RFL or Super League and get a fine. I mean, double standards. This is ridiculous. And I do feel for Richard Marshall and the players this week, because they'll have focused all week from last week on peaking at a certain time. You don't change it with 2 days to go. I'm sorry. I think it's stupid. I think the RFL and Super League need to have a look at themselves about this. If you're going to play a game, at least make it worthwhile. This game isn't going to be worthwhile in the first place. Nobody's going to learn very much from it. Like I say, I mentioned Jake Connor because is he not going to be in the England squad for the World Cup as one of the best players in Super League? I mean, what are we doing? And then we lose 2 players, Kensio and Paulie, to this All-Stars team. That needs looking at, that word, doesn't it? All-Stars.
Probably the only stars in the team, to be fair.
And then so one of them could get injured and we'll lose them in mid-season when you can't afford it. It's stupid. And the RFL and Super League have absolutely done us over. And I know Salford have ended up agreeing to it, but I don't think they had any option. I really don't. I don't think Paul King, Bleaser, Richard Marshall, I don't think they had any choice, really. Because we'd have been the ones that had got punished. Or I could have seen, If we'd have said, "Oh, we can't play," I don't know, whether Sale had a game or something like that. Oh, you'll have to play it at their place, or you'll play it at a neutral ground, and we'd lost out anyway. I could see that happening. That's the way they seem to work these days, the authorities. And once again, it's Salford who suffer. And I just feel for Richard and the team. And I really hope, in a Kevin Keegan moment, that we beat them. I really did.
I think the problem, Paul, is the fact that the RFL and the Super League are sort of two separate sort of organisations that run side by side rather than together. And moments like this where they should really talk to each other and say, look, this is what we're doing. It didn't happen. And I suppose owners of clubs need income. They need, especially with the pandemic and everything, they've lost a lot of money, haven't they, over the last sort of 18 months. So they need games, and they need games quick. So for them to not having a game this week might have been a problem financially. So I understand why they probably did it, but the nuts and bolts of it, the players who are playing for England are going to be playing for the clubs as well. So you can't be in two places at once. So that's a massive problem as well. Paul King came out and kind of said that, it's all about player welfare. I thought really the whole thing is a bit 3D chess, because you've got sort of the Leeds kind of saying, well, we're back in International Rugby League, but we haven't got the players. If we can move it back, we might be able to play. Paul King comes out and says, oh, it's all about player welfare. We've got to make sure we look after our players, and we don't want to play 7 games in 28 days in August. I'd rather play 3 in 8 now. So you've got that battle going on as well. And then you've got, like you said, the Super League and the RFL, and you're looking at what's happening with other teams, of Huddesfield only naming 13 players on their squad, even though they come up with some excuse about having to add to players later. But the initial press release and the initial image of having only 13 people on that sort of squad rota that's been plastered everywhere now, that's the message, isn't it? It's not, what happens in 2 weeks, 3 days down the line when they add 6 youngsters to it and you get a 17. So it's all very, very 3D chess to me.
I think a lot of that sometimes is just mind games, and that I think they just put it out there for the shock value. Don't get this on Twitter and let's all have a look at this. But I don't buy all that. I think I read an article from Dave Woods this week where he wrote about the international game, and it's something that my dad's been saying for years. And he said to me, I totally agree. He says the rugby league is too parochial. Teams don't care about the international game. All they care about is the clubs. Wigan and St Helens, all they're bothered about is their derby. They don't really give a toss about international rugby, and they don't. But what they need to realise is people who live in London and Birmingham and other parts of the country want international rugby. They don't care about St Helens and Wigan and the whole derby because they're not from round here. They'll watch England though. If there's something on the telly that involves your country, people will watch it, and rugby league don't seem to get that. Look at the crowds at rugby union have. Their international game is up there and ours is down here because we jettison ours all the time. This weekend should have been about international rugby league, no Super League teams. It should have, if you're going to have an international, sod the money, you put your internationals on. And what they could have done is played that international on Friday night, no Super League games, but perhaps said to people who had season tickets for Super League clubs, well, go and watch your local Championship team on the Sunday or your local League One, and just done it like that, just to give them a bit of money. But I don't know. They don't always seem to look at the bigger picture for me. If you've got an international, you can't have both on that weekend. You need to, I don't know. We always seem to do things daft when it comes to the international. We've got a World Cup coming up there, and it's not getting the focus that it should get. And it's a fantastic sport. We all know that. But I just think sometimes we hide it in a drawer and don't get the best out of it. And like I said, for the time I've watched rugby league, it's always been about the clubs and things like that. And they've never sort of pushed the rugby league. I mean, if you go back to sort of the late 80s, early 90s, when I first started watching rugby league, the international game was quality. It was fantastic. We were nearly filling stadiums, weren't we? Getting 50,000 at Old Trafford and massive crowds. Whereas now, if you had an international this weekend, you'd be lucky to get 20,000 for it because it's just not there anymore. And I think questions need to be asked on how we publicise the international game.
Yeah, Paul King came out with a statement, Parky, to tell us, the reasoning behind the decision and how, how it affects us. 3 games in 8 days now, or 7 games in 28 days in August, Parky. Do you think you made the right decision?
I don't think you should be in that position to have to make that choice. That's the whole point. He's been forced into making this decision. Him and Richard Marshall shouldn't have happened. Just shouldn't. I don't understand how they get themselves in this mess. I don't mean the club. I mean rugby league. Paul's can only do so much. He's got to look after his club and his players, but he understands what Leeds are, what the problem is, and right, well, fair enough. We shouldn't be doing this in the first place. This was the whole point. There shouldn't be Super League games on the same weekend. Therefore, we don't have to make a decision between 3 and 8 and 7 and 20 odd, or 9 and 20 odd, whatever it is. There's only rugby league can do this. They can make a mess of anything. I feel for him, and it's not just that. It's people who've made plans. Weekend, you got a weekend. You go to the match on the Friday. You got a weekend. Take the kids away, or you do this, or you do. People have already bought tickets 2 days before. It changes. I don't know how it goes on with the people who would be dining. The sponsors and stuff like that, who now probably can't go because it's a Sunday. Because a lot go on a Friday because they can take their employees part of the working day. It's a bit of a, when it gets to a weekend, people want their own time. At 1 o'clock on a Sunday now because of this. The whole thing stinks. I'm sorry, I can't get my head around it. And there is only rugby league that would make this mistake. And what Paul said is very diplomatic. I'm sure what he really thinks is very different, and he would like to point the finger. But let's be honest, we get punished enough for things we don't do. So he's wise to keep his words to himself in that way. But no, it just shouldn't happen. We shouldn't have that many games. And like we've just said, there's a World Cup at the end of the year. This season should have been spaced out enough to give players time to recover, to be ready for facing the Australians, the Kiwis, the Tongans at the end of the year. Because they'll be a lot fresher than we are, and their season is tougher than ours. But let's not play games. If they're playing in the NRL, their season's tougher than ours. Some of them guys will have played State of Origin, which is another thing that clashes with a game on Sunday. Stupid. Never mind the youth amateur game, which anyone who's got an away game with it, their son or daughter or whatever might not be able to make the game now. Crazy, absolutely crazy. No thought into it. And like I say, when we were lucky that Sale aren't playing there, because then what? There's nowhere to move. Stupid. We've been put into a corner where we can't get out and given no option really by the RFL. And I'm sure Leeds will have 2 or 3 fresh players back for Sunday. All the miracle, and even those that play on Friday will probably play as well. So no, stupid idea. Should either have a free weekend or don't play this pointless game. Simple as that. But what comes first, Super League or International? Well, for me, neither. They're both as important as each other, and they need to be respected in the right way. We're just not doing that.
Okay, good news, Parky. Paulie and Ken Seo has been picked for the All-Star squad. I know on the previous podcast we talked about the reasoning behind the game and that, but these two lads have had pretty good performances throughout this season and earned that call up.
Certainly, Kenny Seo, big favourite of mine. His try-scoring record for a winger that doesn't get much of the ball in attack is superb. I mean, most of his games he's spent driving the ball out, isn't it? But his scoring record is unbelievable. A big fan of Ken Seo. Yeah, and he gets a chance to represent, whatever the cause is. Then great. It's good for our club to get players called up. Paul is a strange one. He's missed quite a bit, and I'm not sure how fit he is or what. Because he didn't play last week either, did he? So, bit of a strange one. I mean, for me, if you're going to pick an overseas forward from us at the moment, it'd be Big Seb or Elijah Taylor. So I don't quite know. But I mean, I'm delighted for him. I'm sure he's happy. A bit of, I suppose, representative in many ways. Not quite, international in that way, but again, another chance for him to show themselves on a bigger stage. So it's good for the club. It's good, obviously Dan Sargentson would have been in the England setup, except for his suspension. So, more kudos to the club that these lads are getting selected.
Yeah, opportunity club. We are, Paul, and now it shows that we have a pathway to the international scene. I'll talk to Richard Marshall in a bit, and he says that we're full of internationals, but it's not always been like that.
No, I can remember a time when you were going back years when international players weren't, and we didn't have any at all. And then we had a few guys sort of mid-2000s come through, didn't we? I remember Malcolm Alker and people like that. Luke Robertson, I think, played, didn't he? And David Hodgson, one or two others. So, Yeah, I think it's great for the club. We have got a good squad there. I think now it's, hopefully, we were saying on the previous podcast, we just want to make sure that we hit the ground running now, don't we, over these next few weeks? We're getting results on the field as well. But no, I think it just shows the calibre of play that we've got in the squad and what we've had over the last couple of years. When you think like Jacko as well, who's been there, like Josh Jones, other players like that who've moved on to pastures new. But we've had some good players, haven't we? Yeah, and I feel a bit for Dan Sargent, really. He's going to miss that England game because, I think he'd have been in there, really, in that squad. So let's hope he plays really well towards the end of the season, doesn't get any more suspensions, gets a real good run of games, and he could get in that World Cup team. You never know.
Yeah, other news. Congratulations to Tuilair here, who's he didn't give birth. His partner gave birth to a child, which is great. So congratulations from the podcast. Other news as well going on. Parky, we're advertising for a new kitman. I know you spent your youth in Salford's changing room, so you might be quite well equipped for this position.
Yeah, might be. What I'm just going to say about that is that I did. I grew up, literally grew up watching that thing happen. My mum washed the kits there for 30 years, did the laundry, cleaned the changing room. So her and the kit man, obviously worked sort of in tandem, making sure all the gear was ready. I know it's a lot more technical now these days, I think, than it used to be. They didn't have that much kit. Now every player's got his own, little thing that he needs on a match day that you've got to look after and stuff. So yeah, it's strange. When I saw it, it came up on, I think someone put it on Facebook or something. I thought, that's not a job you ever see advertised, is it? Anywhere in sport, you never see the job as, you wouldn't imagine something coming out of Old Trafford that they need a kit manager. It just doesn't seem to, I don't know, just one of them strange things. I'm looking at it, think, does that actually say kit manager? So I wouldn't be 100% what the role entailed, but new blood in the club somewhere along the line. I'm going to be honest, and this is my ignorance. I don't know who the kit manager is now. I remember in the past, obviously John Latham did it for years during the 80s and 90s, and was it Les before that? The old fella back in the early 80s and so on. Good characters around the club, and it is a key role, to be honest, in a club. You don't realise how their relationship with the players, making sure them little things that they need are all in place and ready. So interesting job role, and good luck to everyone who's applied.
When Parky has these little walk down memory lane, Paul, about being in them change rooms, he never kind of talks about when it ended. And I thought it might be the reason why they're looking for a new kitman, because it's cute when you're 7, but it's not so cute when you're 40.
Well, I must admit, I thought we had a guy doing the kit. I thought we had a bloke doing it. That lad who went to Toronto and came back, was he not? I can't think of his name. Has he gone to Huddesfield or something now? Because I kept seeing things on Twitter, these mystical things on Twitter the weekend saying Huddesfield like a kit man and he what's the likes of kit. And I thought, am I missing the joke here? Have I missed out? Has he poached our kit man or something? But I didn't know what was going on, so I've just kept quiet. So I don't know. I was telling my dad about it. No, he was thinking about the playing, but he's enjoying his job he's doing at the moment too much. So I said to him, oh, that'd be a great job doing that, because you might even get to go in there when they do the victory song and all that sort of stuff. But no, he's happy in his job at the moment. So
probably gets to bang the drum. Or they don't have a drum, do they? Because they're not allowed Dr. Devil in there. They have like a freezer, don't they? Which they bang with a bottle or whatever. So things that COVID took away is Dr. Devil's drum. That's one thing that took away from the team. Other news, we know about the Dan Sargentson 3-match ban. Greg Burke's been banned for the game as well. Parker, good. Greg Burke works hard, and he'll be missed.
Big fan of Greg. I've been all the time. I mean, when we signed him, I'll be honest, I probably thought, why, what we're getting with Greg Burke? I think he'd been around. He was at Widnes, I think, wasn't he, at that point with Gil Dudson, strangely enough. And since he's been with us, he's one of my favourites. He does what he says on the tin. He gets the ball. He's a forward. He goes forward. He defends. He doesn't let anyone down. I can't remember the incident. I don't even remember seeing the incident at the time, to be honest, that he's been banned for. But clearly it was. They've reviewed it. So, but it's very unlike him. He's not that kind of player. But he seems to be, one of them players that you need in your squad, a proper character that he seems to be a bit of a joker on the side. I don't know, I can't verify that, but that's the way he seems, and good to have around the camp. And you always need players like that. But actually, he has got something about. He's not just a plodder. Don't get me wrong. He does his job that he's told to do. So another miss, but fortunately, like I said, in the last podcast with Jonathan coming into the team and Sam Luckley being waiting in the background and so on, he can be replaced for this week. But you know what? Let's get him back as soon as possible because he never lets anyone down, Greg.
Yeah, I spoke to him in the pre-season, Paul, in a pop-up podcast about his career, and he genuinely loves the club, which is a fantastic thing, really. He's not a big star, but he generally runs his blood to water every week, and that's what it's all about, and that's why that's why he earns his team in his place in that team.
Yeah, did we do an interview with him after the grand final at Old Trafford when we was walking down that tunnel?
Yeah, we
did.
It was
like walking and talking at the same time, wasn't it? And I remember that, and I think we had a few chats with him over the last couple of years at the AJ Bell, and I've always found him, he's got quite a dry sense of humour. He's quite a funny bloke, and he looks a lot older than what he actually is. He's only about 25, 26, but he's got quite an old face. But no, I've always been impressed with him, and I think, like Parker said when he came over with Gil Dudson, I think there were two players at a bit of a crossroads in the career, and they both kicked on. Gil's obviously gone on and signed for Catalans, but never let Salford down. He's a really good player for us in that run to the grand final. And Greg Burke's, you can't really say he ever had a bad game. He's always pretty consistent, isn't he? He's one of them who just puts it in every week. So yeah, we'll miss him this week. But I'm just thinking they're ahead for these games that are coming up now. This is when we're going to need the squad because you're going to have this Wakefield game and then we've got the Hull on the Monday. So we're going to get tested now. So these lads are going to get a game anyway. I think the likes of Sam Luckley now, it's his big chance to shine now if he comes back into the side because he's probably going to get used now in these games.
I think Greg Burt looks fierce as well. Beard or beardless? Not sure whether he looks more fiercer with or without Parker.
Well, you clearly see what my preference is. Yeah, I think it looks good with a beard. To be honest, I think a lot of them do. I think it takes me back to the first time I ever saw someone like Noel Cleo playing for Hull FC, the big Australian with a big beard. He just terrified me looking at him. So I think that's probably just ingrained in my psyche somewhere. That he's absolutely nothing to do with it, but. Yeah, he terrified me. So I remember seeing him once at the changing rooms, funnily enough, at the Willows, and wow, who's this? This animal. Who is it? So yeah, I think with a beard, yeah, like so with I think it was Sam Luckley the week before, wasn't it? When he shaved his head and he's got this big beard, looking like Gil Dudson. They look a lot meaner, I think. I don't know. If I'm Greg, I'd let it grow.
Other news: Lance Todd Gala dinner. Parker, you're a big fan of this. 20th of July, Worsley Marriott. Always a great occasion.
Yeah, I've not been for recent years. I used to go every single year for a long, long time. It was always good. It's great to see the old face, the old winners, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, real character, proper rugged old, style, part-time rugby league players, if you like. Great to listen to their stories and what. But then you find out what winning Lance Todd means to her. And obviously Lance Todd and the connection with our club is, well, it is who we are, isn't it? It is the reason we are the Red Devils because of Lance and everything that goes with it. It's a great historic thing, and I'm glad the club have still got some control over it. Not massive amounts, but I think John Blackburn does a lot of work, doesn't he, with it? Yeah, it's always a great night, and in recent years we've had several ex-Reds winning it, and certainly and attending the night. It's a good night. It really is. And you listen to the stories and when you find out, I think a lot of the players, especially the modern era, who, Wembley's kind of probably taken a back step to the cup, to the grand final. Once they realise the history behind what they've achieved by coming man of the match, Lance Todd winning a cup final, I think it shocks them a little bit. And then they find out more about the connection with Salford. I think it gives it a little bit more kudos, a little bit more respect in the game. But it is a great night, and I'm sure it being at the Marriott, it'd be a little bit posh for the likes of me these days, but no, it is a good do, and it'd be interesting to see who gets it. I'm probably guessing it'll be a Saints player again this year. And going on about ex-Salford players, could it be a Theo Farge? Who knows?
Who knows indeed. £60 a ticket or a table of 10 for 600. Paul, you have to do a few more boilers and get me and Parky in.
I went to. I enjoyed it when I went. I took my dad when Tony Gigo won it. So when would that have been? 2019, was it? I can't remember. It was when Catalans beat Warrington. He didn't actually come, Tony Gigo. He wasn't there, so it was a bit disappointing. But I don't know what happened there. But it was a great night. They had a really funny comedian on as well. He was absolutely brilliant, I must say. But listening, like Park said, listening to the old story, I think Andy Gregory got up and spoke, and one or two others, and there's quite a few ex-Salford players there as well who we got to meet. So it was brilliant. Everybody meets in the bar. I mean, I remember walking in and seeing Mal Reilly just sat there in a chair, and I thought, blimey, because I met Mal Reilly at the grand final. When we played in the grand final, he was walking out with me. He was in front of me. He was getting a taxi, and I had a chat with him for about 5 minutes. And I thought, wow, I've just been in, like, he's a god of rugby league. And then I got chatting to Brian Lockwood as well. So there's some real big names there, and people who've actually won the trophy in years gone by. So it's a cracking night. And when I went, it was at the Worsley Marriott, and I'd never been there before. And it's a nice place. It's a really nice place. So yeah, if you can get to that, I'd encourage you to go. It's really good. Food's good as well.
Yeah, if you want to get involved in that, you can contact john.blackburn@salfordcc.ac.uk, or you can ring him on 077 627 and book your tickets there. So that's all the big news coming out of the club. And now we'll see what's happening in the world of rugby league and the amateur scene with Paul Whiteside.
Right, well, here is this week's Devil in the Detail amateur report, and we shall start off with the National Conference Leagues like we usually do. There was just one result involving our local sides at the weekend, and it was in the Cross League. It was between Pilkington Rex and Rochdale Mayfield. Pilkington Rex are in League B, Rochdale Mayfield in League C. The Rex have won 3 out of their first 4 matches, and they made it another defeat for Rochdale Mayfield. Actually, it was finished 44 points to 22 to Pilkington Rex. So Rochdale Mayfield currently struggling in League C at the moment. So another defeat for them. The fixtures for this weekend coming up: League C, Oldham St Anne's play Crossfield, Saddleworth at home to Clockface Miners, Waterhead Warriors play Woolston Rovers. They're all League C fixtures, and there's another fixture of the Cross Leagues. Rochdale Mayfield from League C go away from home to Pilkington Rex B once again this week. In the North West Youth League, we'll go to the North West Men's League. We'll do the Youth League next. In the North West Men's League, there's quite a few no results at the weekend, but I'll give you the scores we have got. These games were all played on Saturday the 19th of June. Division 1, Bury Broncos 18, Haydock 16, Latchford Albion 44, Oldham St Anne's A 20. In Division 2, Thatto Heath Crusaders B 16, West Horton Lions 40, Lee Mining Rangers A 28, Caddy's Head Rhinos 22. In Division 3, Rochdale Mayfield A 0, Culture Eagles 54. And in Division 5, South and East, Ince Rosebridge A 46, Bolton Mets 14, and the Waterhead Warriors beat Ashton Bears A 78 points to 16. The fixtures for this coming weekend: Saturday the 26th of June, Division 1, Bury Broncos are at home to Oldham St Anne's A. In Division 2, Caddy's Head Rhinos face Bowl Miners. Folly Lane are at home to Wigan Springview. Hindpool Tigers are at home to West Horton Lions. In Division 3, Salford City Roosters are at home to Rochdale Mayfield A. Division 4, Blackpool Scorpions are at home to Langworthy Reds. Garswood Stags play Higginshaw, and in Division 5 North and West, Higginshaw A are at home to Garswood Stags, and in Division 5 South and East, Bolton Mets are at home to Salford City Roosters A, and Runcorn are at home to Waterhead Warriors A. Right, well, moving on to the North West Youth Leagues. It was the Cups at weekend, Lancashire Cups for the under-18s and the under-16s, as we mentioned last week. The North West Youth Cup, this is the under-18s. It was Ashton Bears Gold 4, Caddy's Head Rhinos 78. Terrific win there for Caddy's Head Rhinos under-18s. They'll be through to the next round of the North West Youth Cup. Langworthy Reds 32, Askham 30. Another good win for Langworthy Reds under-18s. They're also through to the next round as well. In the under-16s Lancashire Cup, Salford City Roosters went through. They beat Hindley 36 points to 12. And in the under-16s North West Youth Cup, Goulburn Parkside 54, Langworthy Reds 0. The fixtures for this week: in the under-18s Premier Division, Oldham St James play Newton Storm. Thatto Heath Crusaders are at home to Waterhead Warriors. In Division 1 of the under-18s, Rochdale Mayfield at home to Orrell St James. In Division 2 of the under-18s, Langworthy Reds play Roost Pioneers. Division 3, Caddy's Head Rhinos are at home to Portico Vine. In the under-16s Premier Division, Salford City Roosters are at home to Saddleworth Rangers. In Division 2 of the under-16s, West Horton play Rochdale Mayfield. And Division 3 of the under-16s, Chorley Panthers play Folly Lane. And Goulburn Parkside play Langworthy Reds. Well, it was another crunch week for our sides outside the Super League. It was Betfred Championship round 10. Dewsbury Rams 24, Featherstone Rovers 68. The Featherstone Rovers carry on going. Craig Kopchak got a try in that game, and Craig Hall scored a hat-trick as well. 20 points to 6 up at half-time. There's no stopping Featherstone Rovers at the moment. They've scored 374 points at the moment. They're still behind Toulouse Olympic, though, despite winning 2 games more, because Toulouse Olympic are top, I think, on points difference. But they've won 2 more matches, but it works on a percentage thing at the moment. Doesn't seem fair, that, to me. But Featherstone Rovers keep cruising along. London Broncos 46, Whitehaven 12. Newcastle Thunder 40, Oldham 6. Swinton Lions 4, Halifax Panthers 34. Swinton Lions try coming from Lewis Roberts. Widnes 30. Sheffield Eagles 20 and York City Knights 20, Batley Bulldogs 22. The game between Toulouse Olympic and Bradford Bulls was cancelled. I think that was due to COVID reasons again. In the Betfred League 1 round 7, Hunslet 18, Doncaster 18. That was 0-0 at half time there, so a thrilling match there. London Scholars 14, Barrow Raiders 24, West Wales Raiders 10, North Wales Crusaders 60 and Workington Town 34, Rochdale Hornets 28. The postponed match was between Coventry Bears and Keighley Cougars. The fixtures for this week, don't forget, it's Friday night. It's the international match between England and Combined Nations All-Stars. That's at 8:15. But the Thursday night fixtures are Casford Tigers, Catalan Dragons, Wakefield Wigan and Warrington Lee. Their Super League fixtures. Salford play at 7:30 on Friday night against Leeds Rhinos. The outside Super League games, the Betfred Championship, Saturday the 26th of June. Featherstone Rovers at home to Newcastle Thunder. In League 1 on Saturday, West Wales play Hunslet. The rest of the Championship games are played on Sunday. Batley Bulldogs play Halifax Panthers. Bradford Bulls at home to Widnes Vikings. London Broncos are at home to Swinton Lions. Oldham play Dewsbury. Sheffield and Toulouse Olympic is a 3 o'clock kickoff at the Mobile Rocket Stadium, Wakefield. And Whitehaven play York City Knights at 3 o'clock. Betfred League 1, all 3 o'clock kickoffs. Barrow play Workington in a ding-dong derby up there in the League 1. Barrow currently top with 7 wins from 7. Workington are second with 6 wins from 7. So that promises to be a fantastic match up there at Craven Park, Barrow. Coventry Bears play Doncaster. Keighley Cougars are at home to London Scholars. And Rochdale Hornets return to Spotland Stadium. They're at home to North Wales Crusaders. That's all I've got for you this week. I shall see you next week. Take care.
So that was Paul Whiteside's Amateur Report, and now we'll look forward to the big game against Leeds Rhinos on Sunday.
It's time for the Devil of the Details Big Match Preview.
So, Salford face Leeds Rhinos at the AJ Bell Stadium on Sunday, Parky. 1 o'clock kickoff. It's going to be exciting. Obviously, us coming off this win. Leeds not playing for a few weeks. You know, it's going to be a good game.
Crucial for me. One of these games that we've got to win. I think if there's no, like I said in the previous podcast, no point winning heroically last week and going down with a win for this week. Leeds are there for the taking, I think. I don't think they're anywhere near the Leeds side that you would ever in the past have thought about. I think they've struggled for a number of years now, and this year more so with injuries. And I know they've had a COVID problem and everything else, and they'll have a few players playing Friday night in this international. So for me, it's one we've got to target. We've really got to go for it. And if we don't get as much time for the Wakefield game, but I would target these 2 next games. The whole game, whole way, it's going to be tough anyway. You know what I mean? I think we could. I don't mean this in the way it's going to sound, but we could probably sacrifice that for these 2 games. But this is the one. If we can win this, 2 and a bounce, go into next week at home again. Well, this is the start for us. So it's a big game, and one that I hope the boys really up for, and we can get as many players back in as possible because we do need them. We have got a few injuries and obviously suspensions again now, but no, it's a big game, and I'm looking forward to it.
Does the fact, Paul, that Leeds haven't played in a month, is that a factor in this? Obviously, our injury crisis, does that equal the fight?
I don't know really. There's pros and cons to both, isn't there? Sometimes you can be caught cold, can't you, if you've not played for a while? And I think it is. They've not played in June yet, have they? It's the back end of May last time Leeds played, wasn't it? The Castleford game. They beat Castleford 60
28th of May they played.
Yeah, they beat Cast, didn't they, away from home, 60 points to 6 at Weldon Road. So they played well the last time they played, but nobody could catch them cold. But you could work both ways. If you ask Richard Marshall and the players, they just want to play now, don't they, after that Huddesfield game? They wouldn't want like 2 weeks off, and it must be frustrating when you've had games postponed for COVID because you're revving to go, aren't you? But I didn't really comment before on the postponement of the game. I was more talking about the international game, but Parky hit the nail on the head. When you're preparing for that game, Richard Marshall and the players, they'll go through a routine during the week, won't they, of what they do, rehab, and they'll do certain stuff on a certain day. So they'll be peaking at the right time for Friday. Do the captain's run on the Thursday, and then you play the Friday. So that's scuppered everything now. And really, we've only had like 2 days' notice as well. There should be like some sort of cut-off time where you have to give so much notice, and that's disappointing. But it's Leeds in it this weekend, and I didn't really want to be derogatory, but sometimes I think there's certain teams in rugby league that sort of run things at the RFL.
Well,
I don't know. I think these things have gone on in the past, Rob. I don't know about now, but
Leeds are only exercising a rule.
I get that. I get that. But come on, I mean, they seem to get the fair share of things over the years, don't they? With the chairman, Mr. Everington, seems to have quite an influence at the RFL. But no, that's by the by. I think we've just got to use it as a positive. And I think Richard Marshall's that sort of guy. He doesn't seem a negative person to me. And same when you spoke to him, Rob, and listened to your interviews, he never looks on the downside to things. He always seems to be looking in the right direction and being positive. And I think that's the way to be. Don't be moaning about stuff. Be positive, and that'll rub off on your players then. So that's what we've got to hope for. We've got to take this bit of adversity now and fire the players up and say, come on, we can do this. Let's go and show these on Sunday. He's big time Charlie's at Leeds. Let's go and put them in the place. And a win in front of our home fans on Sunday. We've already kick-started the season at Huddesfield, but we've got to keep that going now. So yeah, it's going to be tough for us with these games coming up in short succession. But if we can work the squad now and just rotate it like we can do, get Sam Luckley in and then get the other guys in the week after, the guys who are perhaps playing in this Combined Nations game, make sure they're playing against Wakefield on the following Thursday. So I'm pretty sure we can work it.
Talking about Richard Marshall, I spoke to him today in the pre-match press conference. He was quite in a chipper mood, and here he is. This is what he had to say about the Leeds game on Sunday.
The Huddesfield win at weekend was a huge one. What's the attitude been like in training this week?
It's been good. Yeah, it's been good. Obviously, we've had to change the programme a little bit in terms of our days in and off with the game moving to Sunday, but that's not affected our preparation whatsoever. Players have been great. Gives them, in fact, a couple more days to prepare for Leeds. So everybody's in good spirits. I thought that was probably the main point out of the game was the team spirit. It certainly was for me as coach. It wasn't pretty, at times it was ugly in many senses, but at the same time I thought we just really dug in for each other, which we've not really said much about that this year. We have done it parts for 20-minute periods or 20 or 30 minutes, but I thought for the whole 80 minutes and certainly for 50 with 12 was outstanding.
Yeah. Ken Seal and Paul have been selected for the All-Star squad for mid-season internationals this weekend. How do you feel about that? And do you think it encourages potential transfer tags to 2022 and your players in your squad to show them there's a pathway to international level through Salford?
Yeah, we've got a quality team here. We've got a team of international players, full of international players, and I'm an advocate of the international game. I think it's great. As I said, I think if we had our time again, we'd have probably put it as a standalone fixture and made it a free weekend for everybody else, so we could all enjoy it. Kenny deserves his opportunity, and so does Paulie. Kenny's probably been one of our better performers this year. He's been really consistent for us, and I'm sure he'll go well. And Paulie is. Likewise, he's probably not had the game time or the minutes he probably would have liked for whatever reason, but he's playing in an international fixture, and I'm sure he'll do all the Salford fans and the club proud.
Yeah, moving the Leeds fixture results in playing 3 games in 8 days. As a coach, what's your strategy for this next period? Is it pick a team to win certain fixtures, pick your strongest team for the next 3 games, and sort of figure out the burnout after? Or pick a team that will deal with a burnout now?
I think if you've got a fully fit squad and you can rotate, you would be doing that. We haven't got that luxury. Obviously, we've got Callum Watkins, Kev Brown. We've got a lot of long-term injuries. We picked up a couple more at the weekend who won't be involved. So
I think we've just got to take, it is an old cliche, but for this situation, we've just got to take each game on its merits and play that, try and put our best team out. Listen, this is an important game. We're 1 win away from Leeds and Wakefield, so that's that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to close that gap and push on and look up as opposed to looking down.
Yeah, you had a difficult period early on the season where you had to play sort of the top 4 clubs back to back. Obviously, at the end of that period, you said your players looked tired physically and mentally. Did you learn anything from that period then, which you can use now running into these next 3 fixtures?
Well, we know it's going to be tough. I think our best performance was probably the middle one. When you look at that, we also did a decent job against Saints in the start, and then we ran out of steam against Warrington in that block of 3. So yeah, we have learned some lessons. We spoke about that as a group, but it's what we've got. What we've got is what we've got. We are still looking to bring players in, but everybody's in the same situation. Loaning players out. It's tough at the moment for us. As I say, we've recalled our players, and we'll look at putting out. To answer your question, we're going to put our best team out each and every game. That's all we can do.
Yeah, no Dan Sadson this week due to suspension. Obviously, another change to your spine. Is that a frustration, or is that an opportunity for players who aren't in the team now to get in and cement the place in?
Yeah, we're getting used to that. We're getting used to not being able. I don't think I've played the same team, spine, 2 or 3 consecutive games. I can't remember that, and there's a few reasons why that's happened. But this one obviously is another ban. Is it avoidable? Possibly, but at the same time, what we've got is what we've got. It's opportunity for Morgan and everybody else who comes in. I think there'll be a couple of other players who've not been playing over the last few weeks who will come into the squad this week, and we'll have a good look at them.
What's the injury situation like at the moment? Yeah,
we picked up a couple more. James Greenwood and Seb picked up. Green's got an Achilles injury and Seb's hurt his ankle, so we're just waiting on that. But it's probably possibly going to rule them out this week, which again puts us under pressure. I'm hopeful that Lee Mossop will be available. Obviously, he pulled out in the warm-up. We managed to get through without him last week, but we'd rather him be fit and playing this week. And then obviously we've got everybody else who's on the long-term list. Danny Addy might be in and around this week. If he doesn't make this week, it'll be Wakefield on Thursday. And Matt Costello will add him to the squad this week.
Cheers, Rick. Good luck.
You're welcome. So that was Richard Marshall, Parky, talking to myself after the game, before the game in the pre-match press conference today, and he talked about how he's had to change the programme which the players are following because the days have been switched, and he said he gives them an extra few days to prepare, which I suppose is an advantage, but the fact is you lose them against the Wakefield game, which is probably the more crucial one out of 2.
Yeah, well, I think they're both equally crucial. Both teams are only 2 points above us in the league. And a win against Leeds, the boost that would give you just beating Leeds, as a club, never mind anything else, is massive. It does. I mean, he mentioned there, a couple of knocks from last week, and a couple of players that might be back in contention. Maybe an extra 2 days could give us that, that buffer we need to get them right, to get them back. But then, like you say, the flip side of that is, in less than a week's time, you got to do it all again. But yeah, it kind of, I think it will have messed up his plans a little bit. He may have even planned to give the lads an extra sort of day off in the week or whatever this week, but he can't do that now. And all next week's going to be, you're going to play on Sunday, you're back in Monday for your rehab. Tuesday, Wednesday, you're going to be training. Thursday, you're playing again. Tough on Richard again. When we say he can't field the same team every week, but he can't this week through suspensions and players being picked for international duty, and then he won't be able to the week after for Wakefield. And it's harsh. It's really harsh. But I hope he uses it as a motivator. I hope he gets his team, that drilled into the team that, people are having us over a little bit here, and let's just, like I said on the previous podcast, let's beat them. Let's just go out and beat them. Let's beat Leeds. Let's show, rugby league and the likes of the hierarchy at Leeds that, no, what you try and do, you're not as good as you think you are anyway. And if we win, we go level on points with them. We win the week after. who knows? Leeds could be below us halfway through the season. I'd settle for that.
Yeah, he talked. Well, I asked him, Paul, about his strategy in the next few, 3 games, whether he was going to target games or going to go and try and win every one. He talked about taking each game on its merit, and rather than he wants to be looking up the table rather than looking down, which is a good sign, really, because we've had coaches, the Carl Harrison effect, where they pick his games where he wants to win, and you've got the Ian Watson effect, where he'll play every game with and sort of patch people up to get them on the field. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays these next 3 games.
Yeah, I suppose going back to the Carl Harrison there, I mean, it was probably more difficult for Carl because he didn't have the quality in his squad all the time, did he? He had quite a difficult sort of hand of cards to play with, but I'd be very disappointed if a coach sort of came out and said, I'm going to pick my matches. You want to go into every game and perform, don't you? The professional side, aren't you? I don't think you can do that. I think, you could sort of say, oh, we're going to target this game, then you go and lose that game, and then it throws the whole thing out of the window then anyway, doesn't it? So these 2 home games for me now, I think Hull's going to be a tough game away from home, but looking at them, they didn't do nothing special. They seem to blow hot and cold, don't they? I don't think at the moment there's a lot in Super League at the moment. There's been some funny scores, hasn't there? I mean, look at Wigan. They've not really sort of hit the ground running, really. They got beat against OKR at home, so, and they're up the top of the tail. I think you've got Catalans and St Helens who are playing well. But having said that, I thought Warrington did a good job on Saints last week. So I think you've got to take each game as it comes. Nobody's sort of really stood out for me yet this season. So we've got to go into these 2 matches and take them each game at a time. Don't start looking at Wakefield till you've played Leeds. I think, like Parky said, if we're to beat Leeds, we've beat them 3 times out of 24 at home in Super League. So just to beat them is a big one for me. We need to start winning more times against Leeds and get that record better, because 3-24 is not very good, is it, really? And away from home, it's absolutely awful. So yeah, I think a win against them. And don't forget, they beat us at Wembley in that cup final. So, let's and how many other finals have they beat us in over the years, and semi-finals and God knows what. So let's go and turn them over.
Wonder if it is revenge on the plate, Parky. Obviously, cup final was only not even 12 months ago. So is that going to be a factor, you think?
I suppose in some players' minds it's still there, but I mean, there's been a big turnaround in players again. A lot of players in this squad that will play this week were even at the club last year or anything to do with it. I'm sure to the likes of Moose, if he's back fit, and people like that who were in that team, it probably still stings a little bit and it sticks in the mind. But I think they just focus on the game. Going back, to this targeting the games. I mean, funny, I'm sat here with an England football shirt on, and people were saying the other night about, if England should play for a draw and then they get an easier round in the next. It doesn't work like that. The other results don't always go for you, or you can get your easier draw and take it too easy and get beat and get knocked out anyway. So for me, you play every game to win every game. But like I said before about the whole away game, if there's one out of the 3 that I can sort of shrug and go, well, we get beat there, we get beat, that'd be the one. Because all have been in fine form this year. They're at home. They're a really, really good team. Massive, big players. We'll be burnt out anyway. So get the 2 home wins. They're the key ones. Anything you win away from home's always a bonus anyway. But target this game this week. Get Leeds 1. That's the main one now. And that bonus, that boost it'll give us 2 on the bounce. And going into the Wakefield game, you get 3 on the bounce. The season looks different. The table looks different. The feel of the club. So this is why it's such a big game for me, Leeds, and the fact that we just got the worst record on earth against them. That's just a byproduct. And last year's cup final. Thanks for reminding me. This is the one for me. Then let's go and give everything to this game, and everything that happens the rest of the season happens. If we are burnt out, we're burnt out, but we win what's in front of us.
James Greenwood's going to be struggling. Sebastian Ikefo's ankles a doubt as well. Danny Addy's 50-50. Paul, but the good news is Matty Costello back in contention.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've missed Matty Costello, and I think Danny Addy's had to have a bit of surgery as well, hasn't he? So, James Greenwood, I feel a bit sorry for him. He's come back into the side, he's had a few injuries, and he sort of comes back in, plays well, and then he's had a few knocks again. So he's another one who just, you just like him to get that consistent game time now, wouldn't you, and playing every week. So I'm sure whoever comes in will do a job. And we've just got to focus. Injuries are injuries, aren't they? They are what they are. You can't really sort of avoid them sometimes. It just happens, and you've just got to get on with it. I know coaches moan about it sometimes. Every team gets them, don't they? So we've just got to manage that. I'm sure Richard will manage that as best he can.
Is the plan, Parky, to play the team and not the name? Because Leeds Rhinos are a big name, but they're not the old Leeds Rhinos that everyone feared.
Yeah, I don't know if players do. I suppose it is, isn't it? It is still Leeds. You know, they are still a massive club in rugby league terms. They're huge. You know, I mean, their resources compared to ours. You know, this is what angers me even more about the game being switched. That they've got this world class academy that we're not even allowed to have, and they can't field the team. What's the point of having the academy then? But yeah, I think you have to put that out of your mind. But it is still Leeds. It will be there. The word, you know, it's there, isn't it? Everybody knows it in rugby league terms. I was just thinking about Greenwood there. Thanks to Dan Sargent, he got quite a long rest last week. How can he be injured? He sat on the bench for 40 odd minutes, didn't he? I don't really know. I don't know where he picked this injury up because he was fit when he walked off. It'd be a shame, like Paul says, because I'm a big fan. I think he's a really good forward. Scores tries, got decent pace for a big lad. But another rejig there probably. Matty Costello, if he's fully fit, yeah, we're going to lose. You know, Kenny Seo's going to be playing on Friday night for the All Stars. We've lost Dan Sargent. There's going to be a lot of moving about. It'd be nice to get Burgess back on the wing if we get Costello back in the centre, or do we bring Levette back into the centre? But then we've already lost Greenwood from the back row. So what? You know, a lot of head scratching. Do you put, you know, Morgan Escaray back at full back after his recent performances, which haven't been good enough, or has he now realised what he's got to do? Tough call for Richie again this week. But as for playing the name, I suppose in some ways you do, but then it can work the other way, can't it? You know, a bigger team, a bigger club can think, oh, it's only so-and-so this week and slip up anyway. So I hope players don't think like that, but I'm sure somewhere in the psyche they're thinking, it's Leeds, let's go and do it.
Danger men for Leeds, Paul?
Luke Gale's always dangerous, isn't he? Whether he'll play because he's in the England team, I would have thought he'd play. That Conrad Earl's always a danger man, isn't he, as well? He seems to skittle players over. So they've got some good players. They've got a decent pack of forwards as well. They've got some exciting outside backs. That Ash Gould, and I presume he'll be involved in the England team. I've not seen the England team, so to be honest, I've not really looked into that match much. So I think Gale is the man for them, isn't he? And I would have thought he'd definitely play. So you've got to bottle him up. You've got to keep holding him. He can boss a game, can't he? And run a game as he's done before for Castleford against us and Leeds against us as well, especially in the cup final. So yeah, I think they're the players I'd be looking out for.
So Parker, the moment we're all waiting for, score prediction.
What did I do for last week? Do you remember? I can't remember what I went for.
Well, you do two, don't you? But you two do two different ones.
Yeah.
I do the same one, don't I?
Yeah, we don't want about that. Let's see.
Right now.
I think you might have done. I'm trying to see. I think I wrote it down, but
it's all right. Talk amongst yourselves, everyone listening at home. While Parky's looking through his previous conquests, what about you, Paul? Have you because you've written yours down?
For this week, yeah, I've gone for Salford 25, Leeds 16.
25.
Chris Atkin to drop a goal again.
Atkin. 25, 16. Salford, Atkin drop goal. Right, Parky, have you found your previous conquests or not?
I wrote it down somewhere, but I wrote that much. I probably scribbled over the top of it. But this week, I'm going to say 16-12.
16-12.
Yeah,
Salford.
I think both teams will have burnt out players a little bit, be a little bit tired, but it'll be tense. A lot on this game. You know, we can have a draw level with them, or they can pull away. So yeah, I think it'll be a close one.
Bit of story behind it, is that it? Close one.
No, there isn't. No, I think last week, by the way, I think I predicted something like a 4-point win with Pat and putting Harvey Levette in or something.
Well,
Like that. So I can't be that far out.
You're getting closer. Not as close
Yeah.
as Chris Aninu having to pull his kick, was it, Paul? So you didn't get your Nando's, is that right?
Yep. Still not forgiving him.
Still not forgiving him. What's the weather going to be like Sunday, Paul? You've been Michael Fish. What's the deal?
It's going to be nice Sunday. I think sunny, 20 degrees, quite warm.
Marco?
It's AJ Bell and it's always windy. Put your wind jammer on. That'll do. You can Google or something.
Wind jammer. Windbreak. Bring your windbreak with
you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Salford to win. I'm going for Salford 30, Leeds 6. Leeds haven't played for a month. We'll come out hot, go 20 points up, and then we'll trade to the end to make it 36 points to 30 points to 6 win. I'm going to go Patton to score and to kick 4 goals. So there we go. That's my prediction, Parker.
Very, very precise. Yeah. No, I mean, I think either way, I think it's going to be a close game. I think a lot, like you say, Leeds haven't played for a few weeks. They'll have a few players involved Friday. They'll have that match, sort of rustiness, I suppose. We're coming off the back of a confidence-boosting win, but there's a lot to come. We've got players missing, other players playing. I think it's going to be a war of attrition. I really do.
It's going to be great, and we're going to be talking all about it next week on the podcast. Big thanks for tuning in for this week's podcast. Paul's been on another great show.
Yeah, you were very, like Parker said, you're very precise there with your prediction. I thought you were going to tell us what the attendance was going to be and what you're having for your breakfast as well. Very precise. Yeah, I've enjoyed it, mate. I'm looking forward to Sunday. I know it's been a bit of a mess having it on a Sunday, but still looking forward to it. Sort of changed my plans about and what have you. And I've been trying to badger work all week for some time off on Friday, but now I don't have to. I can just carry on now and go at my leisure on Sunday. But yeah, looking forward to it. It's different, isn't it? We play Fridays a lot this season, so it's going to be slightly different. So we'll make the best of it, won't we?
Yeah, and it's been great, Parky, talking positively on a podcast and celebrating a big win.
Yeah, very much so. It makes a big difference, doesn't it? It's a lot easier to talk about, even with all the goings on this week. But brilliant, really good to chat to you both again.
Yeah, big thanks to this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson. You can find us on Facebook, Devil in the Detail SRD. You can find us on Twitter at DICDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Radio Contact, and YouTube. See you next week.